So before we call Toastmaster Brilliant, I would for those of you who don't know Toastmaster Brilliant, I would like to introduce you to Toastmaster Brilliant. Toastmaster Brilliant has diverse experience in many domains. He has been into the HR domain for more than 25 years. Currently, he is working as the Chief People Officer in the Times Group. He has been a distinguished Toastmaster, the first District 98 Director, and he has a lot of experience in talent management, strategic business partnering, employee relations and event management, policy formulation, and many more. So let's start. Let's go ahead and let's explore the treasure that Toastmaster Brilliant has to offer. Over to you, Toastmaster Brilliant.
Can you quickly confirm if I am audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible as well as
Thank you so
visible.
much. And one more confirmation. Just let me know once the presentation is up, please. I just shared my screen. Able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Excellent. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, from whichever part of the world you have joined in, whichever time zone you have logged in from. In a virtual world, we are all here. And thank you for inviting me over to be a part of this session titled Triumph the Talk, Elements of an Interview. However, before we get to that, I thought it's important for all of us to recognize the fact that today is World Engineers Day. Happy Engineers Day to all of you. And as they say, I am like all others. I did my engineering and worked up my ladder to end up being the HR head. So I can proudly claim that, whom an engineer. So with this, let's begin. And as they always say, the most important element of anything that we do in a virtual world is about trying to understand how do we tackle interviews when it comes to online? What are the types of interviews? How do we leverage technology? And most important is the confidence that we can bring into the session when we are interviewing. So a quick check, how many of you have actually given an interview? Voice vote is also fine. I know it's tough for many of you to put on your videos, but
Sonu here. I have given interview.
fantastic, fantastic. So many of us have given interviews, and some of us have experienced something that probably may or may not have been pleasant. But that aside, the most important element about an interview is how effectively you put across your candidature to the person on the other side. And as they all say, everything begins at the beginning. So we shall begin at the beginning. And if you have to begin at the beginning, what we need to do is we need to make sure as a candidate, as a person giving the interview, we are prepared. And generally what we do, assume that you plan to get married or you plan to date a girl or a boy. What is the first thing that you do? You do something what we call as a background check. And in effect, when you are in a virtual world, I would always say that please make sure that you are always staying ready so that every time the opportunity comes, it's just putting on the lens and getting online. Most important is the background check. Many of you know we may not really have the best of the backgrounds that are pleasing. Many a times we have too many distractions. Indian homes are not built for cameras, to be very honest. We have clothes hanging around, we have some unwanted scratches on the wall, and people are not very comfortable sharing all of these. My suggestion to all of you here is make sure that you do a thorough check as far as possible. Try to find a place where you can get a solid wall background. You could even put up a strong what you call a plate with a white sheet, plain white sheet. Make sure that it's of solider color. There's a reason why I'm talking about the solid color. The advantage of having a solid color is you can change the background effectively. As you can see, even now, my background is integrated into the solid background that I have with minimal distractions. Today, unfortunately, the green wall is not available to me, so I have a gray color background, and gray is not the best background to have. So if you're using a virtual background, it helps. And make sure you use a virtual background, not like having nature in the background or animals, because it's a formal interview. As far as possible, try to keep it plain and simple. Make sure that you make up. I know people are too busy being at home in the Zoom environment. We all know, right? It really doesn't matter. You just wake up, brush your teeth, have your breakfast, and you start working. But sorry, I would encourage all of you to make sure that you make up. You should not be attending a session like this. Imagine attending a session like this for an interview saying, yo, I'm ready. This is me a few months ago. I was growing my hair then. This is not acceptable. This is important that you set your style. Make sure that you comb your hair appropriately. If you are a person who loves to keep yourself shaven, make sure you have shaven yourself. Ladies, please make sure that you do light touch up with makeup. For boys, the best way to appear fresh for interview is to make sure that you wash your face. And there is a reason why I say this is many of us do not have the best of skin. And during interviews and when you are in front of a laptop, there is a lot of heat that is generated and your skin will become dry. And at times it becomes too difficult for people to make gestures from what they see. So make sure that you wash your face. Well, we all live in a Zoom world, isn't it? And we have heard of the famous Zoom dressing. We've all seen this happen. And what is Zoom dressing? Zoom dressing is upar se ekdam kadak, right? Whatever appears on the camera is the best. But as soon as you are required to participate in an interview, there may be instances in some interviews people are asked to stand up and present. Some interviewers ask you to move away from the camera so that they can take a better look at you. So please remember, this is not acceptable. As you can see here, the buttons are open. There is a shorts that I have worn. It clearly indicates that I have just dressed myself ready for Zoom. You may be required to stand up during an interview. And I have had instances where people were asked to make a presentation standing because it was a role which required the person to deliver a training. Now imagine if you're in a Zoom dress and this happens, not the best of things to happen, and it tends to bias the interviewer quite a lot. The most important element while you are in the virtual world is to make sure that you light up appropriately. The light source should be in front of you. I have two light sources right in front, and if there is a need, I can use a ring light and I can project light on my face. But please never ever get into a mode where your face is not visible clearly. What you see here is my friend who had conducted a session, and as you can see, the face is so hazy. It's filled with light moving in from all directions that it doesn't give me an idea of what she's trying to express. This is not the best lighting that we should think of. Avoid any light coming from behind. As far as possible, the light source should be right in front of you or above you. Well, now is the time. We all know that initial setup has been done. It's important to make sure that we get into the mode right away. And please remember, it's always about the camera, isn't it? When we are in a virtual world, we need to talk to the camera. We need to make sure that we are looking at the camera all the time. How do we do it? We need to prepare well. How do we prepare well? Preparation begins with practice. And how do I practice? I can practice with a friend thanks to Toastmasters. You have so many friends here in this group. You can ask them, reach out to them. If they're not available, you can reach out to the larger fraternity that is available who can be of help and support to you. Make sure that if you don't get someone available at a time when you are ready, you can record and playback. You can seek feedback from friends. You can send it out to your mentor. You can send it out to people who you think can give you that kind of help and support. Most important, you are a part of Toastmasters. And if you feel that you need to send it to any Toastmaster who's at a senior position in organizations to review how you appear on video, you can do that as well. And all of these are done free of cost. And nowhere else in this world will you get this opportunity to leverage the strength of Toastmasters. Many a times, questions push us to the wall. And the most important question that is being asked is, tell me about yourself. Now, my expectation when I ask you this question is, I want you to tell me what is not there on your resume or your CV. I want you to tell me, who are you as an individual? Why do you think you are a fit for my organization and the role that I'm looking at? And what is the experience that you bring to the table? So it should not start with saying that I was born long, long ago. No, we are not looking to hear that story. It's all there in your profile that you submitted. My expectation is making sure that you let me know why you are the best person, best suited for the role that I am interviewing you for. One suggestion I have for all of you is, we all tend to get carried away or we tend to avoid sharing. My suggestion, please document what you want to do. Make sure that you write it down, what you want to say in 3 or 4 statements. When you're asked, tell me about yourself, have about 3 or 4 statements ready, which will summarize the 3 points that I spoke about earlier. But if I ask you, okay, could you tell me more? You should be able to extend it to about 10 points that you can share from your life, your perspective, which will be a supplement towards what you have already spoken. Many people who do not have experience can talk about their volunteer experience, your experience with Toastmasters, any other groups, organizations, projects that you've done, where you've done something very different that gave you amazing insights and lessons. Okay, a quick question. We have all heard of GK, FK. Yes or no? Yes, no, thank you.
I have not heard what FK, HK means. If you could
Okay,
explain.
you only know about GK, right?
I'm assuming that general knowledge.
Yes. FK stands for functional knowledge. FK is functional knowledge, the knowledge about the domain that you're working on, your area of expertise. Then there is GK, general knowledge about what's happening all and around. But the winning edge, dear students and friends, that will help you get a foot in the door and more, is the HK, or the horizontal knowledge. And horizontal knowledge means nothing but something about the domain that you are in. It is parallel to the work that you are looking forward to do. It includes a lot of things that are happening in and around. We have so many forums that are specialized. We have HR forums, we have supply chain forums, we have IT forums, we have ITES forums. You need to be aware of what's going around. You need to understand. It's not very specific knowledge, but general awareness about what's happening in the domain. And the best way to stay abreast of this horizontal knowledge is by being a part of various communities, forums, discussions, and most important, reading. Yes, I know reading has become one of the habits that has gone into the background for most of us, but make sure as a leader, if you want to stay ahead, as an interviewee, anyone and everyone, if you have to be a step ahead of others, you need to be a reader. And I always take pride in saying that leaders are readers, and reading is your ladder to success. Invest at least 10 minutes of your every day in reading stuff which is not related to your domain. Try to gauge what's happening, and it helps you become sharper. It helps you become better as an interviewee. Sorry. Now, most important part is the interview time when you are ready to face the interview. A few important points. Well, we are all used to looking at ourselves in the mirror or in the cameras, and sometimes we get distracted. My suggestion is, before you start anything else, pin the interviewers, pin them up. You can see all of them, and you may want to keep your video off, not on camera off, but on Zoom. It has options where you can stop seeing yourself on Zoom. Because at times you get carried away by what you see on screen, and especially when it comes to ourselves, you say, oh yeah, shit, what happened here? Let me just change, right? Don't get distracted. You need to stay prepared. Make sure that there are no other distractions on your computer. Every other application, every other window is shut down. The entire bandwidth is provided to your interview online. We spoke about this. Interview is all about talking to the camera, isn't it? Now, talking to the camera can vary in different ways and means. But what's important for you to know is make sure that the camera is at the eye level. As you can see, I am at least one arm's distance away from the camera. I am talking to the camera lens. Every single time I talk to the lens, I don't see people here. Unfortunately, all of you are on video mute. So I don't see people. So what do I see? I see nothing, but I have a tool which I have used to make me feel that I'm talking to someone. It could be a toy, it could be a coat, it could be anything that can give you that comfort that, yes, this is where I need to look. Make sure this is an element that you practice effectively. The reason why I say this is many a times when you are talking, you feel that, oh, the person is here, depending upon how your screen appears. You tend to look like this. For the interviewer, you're tending to look on the downside, which is not something that is appreciated. Speak directly to the camera all the time. Movements are fine. It's okay. We all need to talk. We cannot be statues, right? I cannot just sit here like this and keep delivering. You will wonder whether this is a photograph that is there or I'm actually speaking, right? So I don't want to see that statue on screen. I want to see someone real. I want to see some genuine gestures that come out. I love to say this. Each time you are facing an interview, it's like giving an audition for a movie. And if you are going for an audition, you need to stand out. You need to get selected. And it is based on what you do during the time that is given to you. And it doesn't matter what you know. It doesn't matter what you have done in the past. What you do during that period is most important. Quite often, my dear friends, we need to know what my priorities are as a person who's facing an interview. What are the priorities that I bring? What is it that I focus on? What is it that I have as my core values? You may not realize that these are some of the elements that gets noticed every single time you face an interview. Focus on your strengths. We all know, right? Many a times we are ashamed to talk about our weaknesses, but my suggestion is focus on your strengths and try to avoid getting into a conversation about weakness. Yes, the question may be asked, but you need to frame it in a manner where you say that, okay, this is an area where I need to improve, but I know this can be done because I have these other strengths which help me. Create a document outlining your strengths. This is critical for everyone who wants to face an interview. It doesn't matter whether you're giving a technical interview or behavioral interview or a situational or a case study based interview. If you know your strengths, if you know what are the interests, if you know what you bring to the table, I'll tell you 50% of the job is done. It's very similar to Toastmaster speeches, my dear friends. There is a general purpose, right? The general purpose is maybe you want to give an interview. What is the specific purpose? The specific purpose is you need to get that job, or you need to get into the second round, whatever be the next level that you have set forth to. When you are presenting any response with regards to talking about your priorities, values, strengths, or situations that you have experienced, look at the STAR approach. The STAR approach is a universally accepted phenomena or a principle that helps interviewers understand you as an individual. How do you put forth your strength? S stands for situation. Highlight the situation that you want to talk about. What is the tasks that you undertook? The T in the STAR. Then comes what are the key actions that you took? The A in the STAR. And R is the result part of it. What is the outcome that came out? It is a very powerful technique, and it helps me understand as an interviewer how you have leveraged your strengths, your values, and your priorities to make sure that you've delivered what you bring to the table. Many a times people ask me a simple question: what do I expect? Right? The answer is you really don't know. It depends on the interviewers. It depends on the type of interview. However, broadly, I can tell you, it could be skill-based, which means either a technical interview or a functional interview. If you're into coding, it could be technical. If you're into, let's say, finance or commerce or arts, science, other than the technology functions, it could be specific to that function. It could be behavioral. Now, behavioral interviews are very, very focused, and many organizations use it without telling you that they are assessing you for these behaviors. You know, one of the articles that I wrote recently was the broken chair, on how one specific interview literally shook me up. It was a test, but it shook me up as a candidate, and I did not feel very happy about it. I'll probably request, if you get a chance to read it, I'll share the link sometime soon. But the point here is, everything that you do in an interview matters, and every action is noted and recorded. Many a times for freshers specifically, it's difficult to assess skills based on technical and functional knowledge applied to a job. So what interviewers do is they prepare a case or a scenario and would ask you, okay, hypothetically, I'm just looking at the screen here and I'm saying, okay, Karthik, this is a scenario. How would you have responded if you were to address this situation? Okay, Shushme, how do you think you would have worked around this situation? Now, the idea is to get an understanding of how effectively can you present what you know, what you can do, and how quickly can you think. And use the STAR approach effectively here. And for a case-based, you know, the situation is already told to you, right? You can do one thing. Don't jump into responding. You say, give me a minute. Take time to think. If you need 2 minutes, say, could I think and get back to you? You can make notes. Please make sure that you're writing it down. I know many of us are not very comfortable writing, but make sure that you're writing down the case, key points that you want to speak, and then you present yourself in the STAR approach. I've been saying this time and again. You need to stand out. Why are you as a candidate the best person? I'll not get to know it from the profile that you submitted. Akansha just sent me a CV. I don't know. And I look at the others and I see, oh, Mayuri also has a similar format. Everyone has the same thing except for a few words that has been changed. So how do you position your candidature as per the role that you have mentioned in the CV? It must be clearly explained with relevant accents, anecdotes if possible. Example, if I talk to you about some sort of a strategy, let me know what exactly you did. Don't tell me what the organization did or the team did. I'm interested in you as a candidate. I'm interested in hiring you, not the company or your team. It is critical to know about a lot of things. When we say no means awareness. It's about research, right? For us, research means going to Dr. G, that is Google. I would encourage all of you to use all possible means to research about the organization, research about the job requirements. And if you get an opportunity, research about the interviewer, because you may understand and you may find some common connects which you can bring to the table that can actually break the ice for you. Many people I have interviewed use the fact that I am a Toastmaster and they start having conversations around Toastmasters. It helps. I'm not saying that it biases me, but it is a good icebreaker. It helps me understand you. I can at least put a perspective to say, okay, at least 50% of the things that I need, he or she may have learned at Toastmasters. Be genuine all the time. Let me tell you, very recently, last week, I was having a session on interview with one of the candidates, and I had made it very clear that I don't want you to fake it. I want to know if you have actually done it. Let me know. I don't want theory. But every interviewee, the 16 of them who I interviewed, all of them tried to present a theory across. That's a big no. You are trying to tell me that you know everything. It's okay. If you have not encountered such a situation, if you don't know of such a thing, don't be ashamed to say that you don't know. It is not a liability, right? If we know everything, then I think there are no need for interviews to happen. I'll just pick up everyone and say, okay, you can do this. You know everything. So please make sure that genuinely you are genuine. Don't fake it. You may have done it. You can say, you can respond by saying, okay, I do not have direct experience, but I know of a situation which may be useful and I can present my views. Is that okay? And if the interviewer tells you to go ahead, please go ahead. Otherwise, don't. This is what builds credibility for you as a candidate for me. We all need to create an indelible impression, like it or not, right? Every person who walks into that interview wants to be seen as the best candidate, wants to be selected. But how do you leave an indelible impression? It starts with one of the best things that we learn at Toastmasters, and that is confidence. You can build confidence. You can talk confidently. You can say that you don't know confidently. Being genuine, knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know, and being confident enough to tell them that this is what I am, makes a big difference. Your clarity of thoughts is important. As I said, we are all engineers, right? We need 40 marks to pass, and many a times the questions are of maybe 10 marks minimum, and you need to fill in the answer sheet. So I remember one of my IT professors talking about it when I was in college. He said that it's important that you fill pages. So if you have to say something in one line, make it into 3 lines. So it goes like this. ये दिल दीवाना दिल है, ये दिल तो दीवाना है. You said the same thing 3 times in different formats. You're filling it up. But no, I'm not looking at that here. For an exam, that could be okay. I'm not making a judgment about teachers or assessors here, but I'm just making a point that be precise, be clear about what you want to express. Don't come back with a muddled expression. Don't take me to a direction where I'm not willing to go. You don't leave me in a messy situation. Credibility, we spoke about it, the genuine part about it. This is the most important element. You have presented a profile to me as a candidate, and I expect every single letter that is there to be true and correct to the best of your ability. Yes, typos may come in, that's perfectly fine. But if you have said that you have worked on a project X, you should have actually worked on a project X, and it should not be like a GT. Engineers know that if you are in first year drawing, many of us get into the mode of GT, that is glass tracing. We trace someone who's got an A, we just pick it up. But teachers know, they are smart. They can make out that it's a glass tracing. So make sure that you are seen as a credible candidate when you're there. Here are some don'ts and do's. Now, don'ts and do's are important. Don't just Google any answer. We are in a virtual world, and many a times, if you don't know, people tend to Google. You have a mobile in your hand, you use the mobile to search and present the response, saying, give me a minute, and you Google an answer. Don't do it. We all know when you Google it, or use Bing or any other search. Google is just a metaphor. Never be negative. We've had situations where candidates start talking about their organizations, their managers, their experience in a completely negative manner and try to pull down and say, this is very negative and I need to move away from negativity. Now, that doesn't put across a pleasant acceptance towards the candidate. Please remember, if you are doing it for your previous organization, you may do it for my organization. So I will not be keen on looking at you. Yes, in a virtual world, when we have so many tools and toys that we need to use, Duracell is good, but in an interview, don't be a Duracell battery and go on and on and on and on and on and on. Your typical response should be like an extended table topic, about 2 to 3 minutes max. And if they ask you for more, that is when you provide clarifications. Otherwise, prepare for anything that you want to talk. Prepare about your story, prepare about your key achievements, and have bullet points that you can talk for about 3 minutes. And it can be extended to 10 minutes. I had spoken about this earlier. Make sure that you have short stories to talk about. It's all about storytelling, dear friends. Storytelling helps. It gives me an idea of how effectively you can put across. I don't want to read a technical document. I want to understand who the characters. Now, characters are people who have helped you. I want to understand what was the key theme of your story. I want to understand what situation you came in from. What is the value add that you bring to the table? What is the strengths and weaknesses? Always ask question. Please don't shy away from asking about questions on growth, about expectations. For example, if I'm interviewing for, let's say, a product manager, you can ask, what do you think would be the growth prospects once I get into this role if selected? And what are your expectations from me if selected? Now, what you're doing is you are displaying a sense of eagerness to be a part of this journey. And that always helps the organization because your seriousness comes in from there. And please remember, itna paisa mein itna ich milega. Many a times we tend to get carried away by saying, oh, what is the salary? First talk about salary, then I'll. No, please, please, please. Don't ever get carried away by saying that salary is your prime concern. If you get into a conversation of salary, it could be a make or break discussion then and there itself. I have rejected candidates who said, I heard that this position pays this much. I am willing to pay more if required. It depends on what value, what strengths you bring to the table. But if you get into a conversation, not every interviewer will be pleased to talk about it. You may undersell yourself or oversell yourself. It's important to understand how you fit. And when it comes to negotiations, that is a separate phase altogether. You don't need to get into this discussion ever. You need to make sure that you're presenting an impression. You have to make sure that you are not getting into a mode of asking, saying, okay, this will stop me from joining your organization. Your confidence, your credibility and clarity of thoughts are what will make a difference. And once the interview is over, I encourage you to first formally thank them and check with them if it is okay to follow up. We get bombarded. Let me be very honest and candid. We get bombarded by saying, oh, I interviewed yesterday. Can you tell me what is it? And I say, probably we'll get to know in a couple of days. 2 days later, this person again contacts. Now, there are multiple candidates being interviewed, and it is not practical for every organization to continuously provide you with feedback. They will give you an update if there is. And most organizations will tell you, if there is an update, it will happen immediately. So don't worry about it. Don't become like Dr. Batra, who sends continuous SMSs saying, oh, this is a clinic that has opened up. This is a medicine that you can use. It irritates and you may get blocked. Never ever send LinkedIn invites without asking. This is critical. We don't follow this etiquette effectively in India, unfortunately. And this is something where people just send a random invite to me. And while I'm okay to look at who the candidate is, but there should be a note attached. You should check with me if you can send me an invite. Many people, many seniors are not okay with accepting invites until and unless there is a purpose. Yes, you can tell them that it was a great interview. You loved engaging this interviewer. You learned a lot and you would like to stay connected. Is it okay to connect with you on LinkedIn? Please ask for it. You are your resume. Let me be very honest, very candid. It doesn't matter what you say. What you have presented to me as a document is what I will assess you on. Your first level selection, rejection criteria happens there. Often, I have seen candidates who don't know what's on their resume, what's on their profile. They have just copied it from somewhere and pasted it into this document because it looks interesting. I recently saw a profile of a candidate who has 2 years of experience in HR. And when I looked at the profile, it was 3 pages long, and she's done things which even I have not done after 25 years of working. Very interesting profile. And when we actually interviewed this candidate, she had no clue about HR as a function. She was just an administrative assistant. Just because she wanted a job in HR, she had copied something from somewhere without knowing what it is. And please remember, we are Toastmasters, and this is a golden rule that I would encourage all of you to remember. We all know what we want to say. It's not important what you want to say. It's important how you say it. Make sure you are presenting yourself as someone who can talk about situations in a manner that is acceptable. Dear friends, this is a gist of how you can attempt online interviews. Make sure that you present yourself as probably one of the best candidates for interviews. There are a few things that have come across, and I wanted to share this as a side note to this presentation. These are some real-time questions that were asked to me. With your permission, Ninad, if you have some time, I can share these. These are a couple of interesting questions that came through in some previous sessions, and I thought it's important for me to share. Can I do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Ninad. So one of the things that people have asked is, how many stories should I tell? How many elements do I bring in? And this is tough. It is like being in a crowded marketplace, trying to stand out, right? It's very difficult. We all know how it is. You open up reels, you see so many people with millions of hits that you start wondering, "Arey, ye kaise ban gaya yaar? Itna million likes kaise aa gaya? Million views kaise aa gaya?" So you need to make that difference, and that is where I would say you focus on something called as the core, CORE. Your confidence. O is the ability to overcome challenges when you are presenting anything to me. R is resilience. Please remember, we are all in tough times. And as an interviewer, I would want to know how resilient you are. And if you're able to present that you have bounced back, everyone cannot be successful all the time, right? We tend to fail at times. And if you see the title of the podcast that I have is Leader Slip. We all slip and we all need to learn, but we don't have all the time in the world to learn from all the mistakes that we do, right? So we learn from others in mistakes as well. And E is what I call as your value addition, the exemplary contributions that you have brought to the table. And it doesn't matter who you are. If you are able to showcase in an interview that you bring these qualities, you are in. It is tough. The market is really tough. Let me be very candid. The entire economics of the job market has undergone a change. Now people are available, jobs are available, but expectations have changed. Today, it is a market where you really don't know what will happen tomorrow. So please make sure that you as a candidate, you as an interviewee, always stay ahead and stay ready so that you don't have to get ready. I spoke about it. You have to make sure that you attend forums like, HR forums, if I'm part of HR, supply chain, IT forums, wherever you can gather some information, network with people, try to be visible, but not into the face. You should be seen. Oh, yeah, Deepak, I saw you in the last conference. How are you? Right? That's a good conversation to have. If I say, Are Ninad bhi idhar bhi aa gaya? That is not a conversation that I would like to have. That means you are over presenting yourself. Try to make sure that you're not pushing yourself into the face at all the times. Please, please, please invest in upskilling yourself. I don't need to tell you, I have been an engineer myself, but what we learned at engineering and what we do are like parallel tracks of a railway train. We need to make sure that we have additional skill sets that we need for being relevant to the role. There are many open universities, there are many free courses that are available. Understand what is the requirement for your specific role. And remember what Stephen Covey had said, continuously sharpen the saw. I have just enrolled for a course. My first session was yesterday. After so many years of working, I need to get back and make sure that I am relevant. I need to ensure that I'm sharpening my saw so that next time when there is something that happens in my organization, I am ahead of the curve. I'm staying ahead. So please make sure that you bring in all these elements, continuously upskill. There are so many people, mentors, your community in itself, the engineering community, maybe VJTI will have its own alumni association. Reach out to them. I'm not asking you to restrict yourself. Be as open as possible. Reach out, get information, get awareness. All the best to you. Over to you. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take depending upon the time.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Brilliant. I'm sure it was an extremely valuable session, and seeing things from other side of the wall after starting working, almost all of it makes sense, honestly, after going through the entire process. And yeah, so if there are any questions to any one of you all attending, then you can unmute yourselves and then go ahead directly. And meanwhile, I have a question for Toastmaster Brilliant.
Yes, please.
Well, one thing that you mentioned truly, and that is something that even I have experienced, is that people don't really encourage LinkedIn invites. And even over here, like the term called networking is not really focused on that much. But if you go abroad, maybe all the job gettings and all these things happen by networking.
Yes.
And even as you progress, even as you grow in your age, even then this term called networking plays an important role. So the thing is, if you see, apparently LinkedIn seems to be the only way we connect. But apart from that, what are the avenues you think that we can use at different ages, in 20s, 30s, 40s, to actually meet people and get to know, and
So,
not approach as a stranger?
yeah. So today, honestly speaking, we are lucky, and I would say touch wood, the pandemic has given us the opportunity to be virtually connected to everyone. So today, pick any person. You will find that at least once a week, this person is available in any of the forums, maybe as a speaker, as a panelist, or as a moderator. Try and attend those. And there is a option for you to ask questions. Now, don't ask silly questions. I know someone said that ask question, no question is silly, but in a formal forum, you should ask something relevant. You cannot ask, okay, how much more time it will take, right? You should ask something saying, okay, this was very interesting, but how do you think this will apply for me as an engineer who's moved into this role? And you start always by introducing yourself. I am Ninad, and I would like to ask you a question. Please remember, your name is the most important thing that you need to talk and let people know. many times people tend to, get into a mode of I know everything. So your question should be like a Twitter tweet. It should fit into that tweet. It should not start by saying, in my experience of 25 years, so how do you think? I'm not asking a question. I'm trying to showcase my superiority. And that is not really healthy. Be precise, be to the point. The second way you can connect with people, as I said, is once you're post the conversation, reach out to people and check with them. Is it okay to connect on LinkedIn? Is it okay to connect on social media? Today, many leaders are open, many are not, and people take it for granted just because I'm on Facebook that I will accept everything. And then they send out a mail saying, oh, I sent you a request, you're not accepting. I'm not obliged to accept, right? And networking can happen once the physical meetings start collecting those memories, have some conversations, take a photograph with them. And when you talk to them and when you connect to them, send them a mail, thanking them, saying, thank you so much. I learned so much from your session and I would like to stay in touch. Is it okay? So what you're doing is you're bringing it back to staying in touch. So in every forum, they will share their contact coordinates. People who are smart will make a note of the contact coordinates and reach out, and they give a reference saying, I got a reference from a student who attended a session about 6 months ago and said, I attended this session on how to face interviews at Toastmasters International, and I found very interesting aspects, and I'm in India now and I have some queries. Is it okay to talk? I felt very happy because she gave me a reference of where she knew me from, right? So try to build those connects and then you can build on the network.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. So finding a common element is what you need to focus on.
Yes.
Okay. So all the people attending, go ahead and ask your question. This is your golden chance to actually clear out all the things that you have to ask.
Good evening, Toastmaster Brilliant. I'm Shrey here. Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. I have a question that is a little personal. So I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I have given speeches and helped different diabetic communities spread awareness about it. And it is also important for my coworkers or my friends to know that I'm a diabetic in case of any future mishap.
Right.
So, is it recommendable to start during the introduction that you suggested? I say that I am a type 1 diabetic, or should I refrain? How should it be?
Thank you for asking this wonderful question. And generally during interview levels at formal forums, you should avoid sharing these information points. Once you move into the second round of interview and when you have a conversation with HR, you need to let them know that this is a condition. This is something which I want you to be aware of. It doesn't impair me from anything, but sharing during a formal interview is not really recommended, because then many people have a tendency that if you bring in an element of health, I'll start thinking, oh, what happens? Because when you're talking, my thought is, oh, you have this situation, how will you manage? And I don't want to get into that mode. I don't want the interviewer to go there. So once everything is over, the interviewer will ask you, is there anything else you would like to share? I always ask. Maybe you can tell them that, yeah, I just wanted to share that while this is not a condition that impairs me from doing things, but I am a type 1 diabetic and I am on medication. I would want you to know and be aware, because it's important in case of any medical emergency, what needs to be done. I will be more than happy to share details. Just leave it at that. Don't start off by sharing it.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Brilliant. Also, can I connect with you on LinkedIn?
Yes, sure. No problem.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we'll take around 2 to 3 more questions and then we'll end. If you are okay with it, Toastmaster Brilliant.
Yeah, perfectly fine. No problem.
Maybe you can just raise your hands or put it in the chat box or directly unmute yourself and start. Okay, so meanwhile, one more thing that many people don't know is like it was great that we came to know about the different elements that are important, but generally people don't know the weight to which they are important. So if suppose if you want to give a score out of 100 to the different aspects, then how would you actually distribute the weight to different elements? Say assuming that since majority of them are here are engineers, then considering those aspects.
Okay, so this is very specific to the kind of role. To be very honest, there is no one size fits all approach, and it can never be. So there are many what we call as techno-functional roles. There are techno-commercial roles. There are pure management roles. So it all depends on the kind of the role. And again, I'm not expecting everyone to be an expert in everything. What I expect is, okay, this is interesting. I should have spoken about it. Do you bring the attitude to learn? Do you have the agility to quickly get onto things? And do you really have the ability to take on a load and work in ambiguity? Now, if you can showcase that, it's done. But I cannot really put a percentage to say you should be 50% technical. But on a broader scale, how I hire, when I'm looking at a job description, there is a list of things that I would expect from the potential candidate. I'll never get 100% fit. I'll look for a 50 to 60% fit, and the rest gets into your attitude, your agility, and your ability to work in ambiguity. Now, if you have these, I know for sure that I can take you on board. I can give you some training, and you can quickly go ahead. So 60% focuses on the job related aspects, broad level for me, and depending upon all the other elements. If it is a management role, then I would look at strategy as separate. All of these will come into play.
Okay, great. Thank you. This was one of the questions that I had to ask from a long time, because this happened during my interview. The interviewer had asked me, "Why did you join Toastmasters and what did you learn?" So one thing that I had mentioned was that the leadership development is really good. Then he mentioned, "Okay, then why don't you join politics rather than coming into engineering?"
Okay.
But later on, even later on, I was surprised, and then he even said that, okay, then let's stop the interview right there because we are hiring for an engineering role. But then later on, all the technical questions happened, and then finally I made it through. So yeah, it was one of the surprising things that happened.
Yes, it happens quite a number of times. What generally people try to push you to a corner. If you remember, I had spoken about the broken chair, an article which I had written. I'll share it with you. It's about trying to see how you perform under pressure when you're pushed. I ask some really tough questions. You may not have the experience, but I'll ask you something very pinpointed that you have written in your resume, and people tend to get afraid of what they have written. And I will dig deeper. The more you try to fib and more you try to fake it, you will not really go through. So the best thing to do is you say, yes, while these skills may not be relevant at this point of time, I know for sure that leadership is a skill that is essential for anyone to grow, and you really don't need to have a big team to be a leader. And you can present a response. As I said, it's not about what you say, it's about how you say that completely makes a difference.
Yes, very.
Good evening, Toastmaster Brilliant.
Hi, good evening.
This is Deepak here.
Hi, Deepak.
Yeah, my question is like I have given my vertical is project management. So they sometimes they ask hypothetical question as like when you are coordinating with your team members, and the
Right.
team member is very skilled, but he's very senior, but he's not doing the task. So what are the actions or the action items would you be doing? So these are the interview questions, which is hypothetical, and in that particular moment, we go blank out. So what are the things we need to go and respond to that questions?
So most important, Deepak, thank you for asking this. This is as I mentioned, a scenario based or a case based question or an interview. Now, if you remember the star that I spoke of, what was the situation? What are the tasks? What is the action? And what's the response that you gave? Now, a question is asked, if you have to manage a difficult manager, how will you do it? So first and foremost, don't be in a hurry to answer. First, think about what are your core strengths. If you remember, I had mentioned, make a note of all the strengths that you bring to the table and present it in a manner to say, this is my strength and this is how I will leverage. You can say, yes, this is something which is not acceptable. What I would encourage the manager to do is to have a conversation with me one-on-one, where I will present that these are the challenges and we need to work together. Now, this is the first step. The question will come, okay, he doesn't agree. What do you do? You will have to say that I'll persist at least for 2 or 3 times. And if it doesn't move beyond that, I will move to the person above him, because I don't want the work to get impacted. And if this is something which can be done with the with the participation of the super boss, I would be more than happy to reach out, but I'll make sure that initially I connect with the individual who's my reporting manager or the leader of this group to ensure that I'm putting across what is the expectation. So prepare a response accordingly. Don't create a standard response for everyone. Highlight your strengths and say, my strength is having conversations and breaking ice. I can connect well with people. So I will have a one-on-one conversation, try to understand what is it that is not working. You can create a sort of a bridge to bring in your strengths to this conversation.
Yes, thank you so much. Toastmaster Brilliant.
Welcome.
So we will take one last question if anyone has any, or else we'll end that here. So if any one of you have any question, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Sonu here.
Hi, Sonu.
Once I was asked one question that someone in your team is not performing. What will you do for that? So my reply for that was that I need to see whether there is any lack of willingness or lack of skills. So is this the correct answer, or I should look for something else?
Right. This is a trick question, Sonu. This is to assess how open you are to provide support, how open you are to engage with someone who may be pulling down the entire team. So the expectation from the interviewer would have been maybe something of this format, saying that, yes, there is a possibility that someone may be underperforming in my team. As a part of a team, I would reach out to this individual, try to understand what are the areas that this person is confident on working, what are the areas that the person needs support on. And if there is something that I can do to support her, I will do it. If not, I will request her to speak to the manager so that she can get the relevant training. Now, here you are displaying multiple abilities. One is your ability to think fast. Second, your ability to support a team member. And third and most important, the ability to say you are not a decision maker. Decision maker is someone else. So you park it with the decision maker to take the right decision. If you say that, okay, I will ask her questions about why do you think you're not performing, that indicates that there is a bias on your side. So you can just say, Array, example, I'm just looking at this. Hey, Sonu, what happened? How are things? How do you think it's progressing? Do you think we could look at some things that are changing? Have a conversation with that person first. Don't ever approach by saying that, oh, you are underperforming. Then it closes the doors.
Okay. Thank you.
Well.
So we'll end over here. Thank you, Toastmaster Brilliant, for that brilliant, as the name is there, the brilliant education session. And I'm sure that the interview will help many people to give a kickstart in the training process. So before we end the entire thing, maybe 3 pieces of advice you would like to give, since people are just about to start with their training.
Sorry?
3 pieces of advice, since people are just about to start their training with this.
So most important thing is please always be open to ideas. As engineers, we always have a problem that I think I know everything, but be open to ideas. Most important thing to get into any team. When I started working, I thought I'm an engineer, I know everything, right? It comes in because you are an engineer. We are groomed, we are probably trained in a way to believe that we know everything. Be open. Second is ask for help. Very important. We tend to avoid asking help because we feel it's a sign of weakness. The answer is no. Please, please, anytime you get stuck, anytime you feel there is a need for you to seek help, reach out. Please reach out. That will only showcase that you are willing to move ahead. And most important is keep engaging yourself in terms of building up your knowledge, building up your skills, and building up your abilities. Sometimes it is okay to say no. Remember that. You may not be the best person to do it. I feel, oh, this is something which Ninath can do, but I can take it and do it in 10 days. Ninath can do it in 2 days. So I need to be open to say, I don't really think I can do it effectively as Ninath. So if you can keep these three things in mind, I think as you get into this journey of organizing or getting into an organization, starting your trainings effectively, life will be easy for you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Brilliant, for that amazing session. And with this, I would like to call off the education session. And if anyone would like to share their views, you can go ahead. And with this, I would like to request the Sergeant at Arms to stop the recording as well.